Hi, Jimmy, and anyone else who hasn't scrolled. Welcome back to another episode. I had something that I want to like chat about, but it's not going to be like super long. Okay, it's not like a heavy conversation, but I did journal about it. Mm, I say journal, but I just want to look into it. But anyway, if you're coming back, thank you so much. If this is your first time here, I hope that what I'm about to share is something that fills your cup. I hope it brings you joy. I hope it's something you can resonate with. My name is Tracy Huison, and I have not so recently started my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to continue just sharing until I get to a point where you kind of like understand why I'm sharing and what I'm sharing, but baby steps, baby steps. But what I saw, I think it was on TikTok in the week. I don't know if you guys have heard certain things and people like it's biblical. And I always hear these things, but I'm like, is it really biblical? So I was like, okay, let me go do like some research. Now, if you watch this, you know already when I say research, I just mean go look into it, whether it's on ChatGPT or Google. In this instance, I asked my uncle, he is a pastor. So anyway, so I spoke to him and I was like, bro, let's just look into these things, where people assume it's from the Bible. And then I was like, I'm gonna share it with you. So I've got like, okay, let's just dabble with this idea. I shared with my uncle. He obviously checked it, so I can say that it was checked. Okay. Anyway, so let's start with the favorite one of the always here. So this one says God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Now I know you've heard that one before. Okay, and then also what I want to go and do is I want to go get some verses that are relatable to these sayings, but these sayings are not incorrect. What I'm saying is many times, even myself, I'd assume that these are biblical. Not really, but kind of. And so I just want to go look into it. Like I said, the first one, like I was saying, is God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. I know it's also in the memes where they're like calling God up to be like, make sure I'm not the toughest soldier for next year because I don't want to go through things, right? So a few other verses I got was Psalms 34, verse 18. I don't know how to put it in here, but I'm going to find a way. The Lord is near to those who are brokenhearted. Isaiah 40, verse 29. He gives power to the weak and to those who have no mighty increase strength. Now we know already that God's strength is best seen or visible in our weakness. Now we know like where we are weak, he is strong. We know that he says, if you're heavy burdened, his yoke is strong enough, something like that. I don't check those Bible verses, but it's not to say that if you're struggling, you are failing. If you're struggling, it's an honorary badge where God is putting you through the most. Many times, obviously, we know this that what we are living through is decisions we've made, and it's the consequence of decisions that other people made that it's impacting us. But what's important is that every time we're going through something, that's where God will find us the most, especially if we call on Him. So it's not to say if you're not going through stuff, God's not with you, right? And it's not to say that if you are going through stuff, that you are like that. It had this honorary badge where God's like, yeah, you got this. And the second one, God helps those who help themselves. This is not biblical. This comes from Benjamin Franklin. The Bible shows that God helps the weak and those who call on Him, not just people who do it themselves. I got Bible verses like Psalms 121, 1 to 2. I will lift my eyes to the hills from where my help comes, and so on. Psalm 46, verse 1. God is our refuge and strength and very present in help of trouble. And then Romans 5, verse 6. When we are still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. So, obviously God's not just there for those who help themselves. In fact, he's there also for those who are weak and those who call on him. So it's not just if I'm doing something, God's going to help me, but really God will be there because it's not a measurement. Obviously our lives are not a measurement of what we do. We can never do enough for God to give us things. So it's not like, oh, I'm blessed because of what I do. No, it's the grace. Everything we have is by the grace of God, because we cannot begin to earn or work ourselves in a way where we are deserving of certain things. Anyway, that is from Benjamin Franklin. And also, it's important that ultimately it's not our good works that put us in certain places, it's God's grace, right? Because we need to always rely on Him. So if it was based on what we do, then we wouldn't need God, but we always need Him. Then cleanliness is next to godliness. This is from the 1600 sermons. The Bible focuses on purity of the heart, not hygiene slogans. So like Matthew 8, 5 verses 8 is blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. First Samuel, a man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at heart. Remember First Samuel where they came and they chose the king, and then they were like, no way can, I think it was David, be the king anyway. And then here it's more so much our inner lives that we know, although that's not a bad saying. Again, like I'm saying, these sayings are not like necessarily incorrect. What I'm saying is not necessarily biblical. There's no Bible verse. And then money is the root of all evil. I think you guys all know this one, but I know now more than ever we are familiar with the fact that it's not so much that money is the root of evil, but it's the love of money. Because look at Job. Job was extremely wealthy. In fact, most of God's people, when you go and you read, they were kings. They were wealthy people. That wasn't the issue. It's the love of money. And then many times people like fall because they became like greedy and stuff. So being rich is not an issue. It's obviously that when you are rich, you are obviously humbled and you're helping those around you that are less fortunate, whatever the case may be. However, you obviously follow the word and do that. But I think it's the mistake. It's like, oh, you're rich automatically, you're not godly or you're not a Christian. But that's not the case. Having money is not an issue. It's what you do with your money. Obviously, Bible verses like First Timothy, for the love of money. Oh, this is the actual one. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from their faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through many sorrows. I can only imagine the reason why the love of money is evil is because you then don't rely on God. When you have enough money, you assume that all your problems will be solved, and there's not like major like concerns you might have. And then follow your heart. I don't think that anyone assumes this is biblical. It's definitely not. One of my favorite Bible verses is Jeremiah 17 verse 9 says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And then Proverbs says 3 verse 5 to 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge and trust Him, and He will direct your heart. So obviously, I know it is. We all say like follow your heart. I suppose it just means like follow your gut or your mind or what your true feelings is. That's fine. But also in the same breath, it's not a moral compass. Obviously, that's not the point though. I don't mean to be getting deep here. Okay, then the last one: God will not give you more than you can handle. There's obviously not a biblical saying. In fact, I don't think that's the truth because there's many times I've been in situations where I know I cannot handle it. And what's motivated me is not that His word says He won't give you more than you can bear, but rather that He will always come and find me in my weakness. There's many times, but one storm specifically in my life where I went through the most and I honestly felt like I really just want to die. Not in a dramatic way, like, oh, I want to die. Like, actually, I was like, you know what? I don't have to be here anymore. Like, I would really prefer to be in heaven. Like, this cannot be the pain that I'm going to endure because at that time, like, obviously, you can't see an end when you're going through something really, really difficult. I'm like, this cannot be my life. I don't want to be in stuff. And these Bible verses that we can quickly read. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13. No temptation has overtaken you except such as common to man, but God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but the temptation will also make the way of escape that you may be able to bear it. And in 2 Corinthians 1 verse 8 to 9, we were burdened beyond measure, above strength, so that we are despaired even of life. Yes, we had the sense of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but God raises the dead. Okay, in fact, most times when you have a difficult time, you know in your heart, you're like, yo, how am I going to handle this? What am I going to do? I know that saying might have kept us going, but in fact, it's not that. It's the fact that we can rely on God and then He'll come and find us in our weakness. That's in fact when we see Him the most, and when we call on Him. Anyway, these are just some fun sayings that I wanted to like go through and like just yeah. So I spoke to my uncle, like I said, he's a pastor, so he went through. He's like, yeah, many times we have these sayings and or we say things. These are not the only things; they're just things that I was familiar with. But anyway, don't forget to read your Bible. Okay, have a good week, guys.